A Smoldering Coal by Roy Graham. This far north, the nights are dark, the shadows grow long in the hall of Ashe and her blood-sworn groom. The braziers burn down to smouldering coals. They may seem extinguished, dead, but even a fool knows not to grasp one with the naked hand. Even a fool. He isn't much to look at in truth. Tall, yes, and strong, but the dark hair that falls around his shoulders are flaked with grey. He does not look like a figure of myth and legends, seated at the head of his table. Tryndamere looks like a man. His eyes are a flat green, dull like an animal's, and yet I cannot meet them for long. I witnessed the rage they concealed, and it nearly took me, as the ember takes the straw. It happened in my first winter as a battlemaiden to Ashe. I was young, brash, and very bored. My new life was not the adventure I had once dreamt it might be. When she went to fight the Northern Raiders, Ashe had left me in the Great Hall to watch over her bloodsworn. Tryndamere wasn't mustering war parties or howling with battlelust. He was holding audience with a collection of envoys from local clans. Not even thanes or war mothers, but little men and women who believed the world was turning on the precise numbers of cattle ranging in their pasture. The dullest of the lot happened to be talking just then, a dawdling greybeard.
War Mother Ashe has taken 1 in 3 of our warriors north to throw back the raiders of the Winter's Claw. That is 1 in 3 hands not tilling the earth, 1 in 3 eyes not watching the flocks. I understand you people never raised crops or herded animals, but in more civilized lands.
I wanted to see the elder's head parted from his shoulders. This was the War Mother's bloodsworn he was addressing. From my silent post behind Tryndamere, I glared up at him, hoping to see a flicker of anger under that passive mask. I already knew though that I would be disappointed. By the gods, I wanted him to show some of his legendary temper. So young and so foolish. I have never forgotten that I wanted to see it.
Allow me, Bloodsworn, to educate you on the proper management of the land west of the White Hills,
the greybeard went on. I found my hand curling around the leather wrapping of my sword. Before I could act on my rashness, the great wooden doors of the hall swept open. The brazier sputtered and hissed as wind and snow pushed their way inside, and with them came figures, half a dozen of them. At their head was a tall woman, silver braids peeking out from a traveling hood dusted with frost. As she pushed it back, I recognized the jagged white scar that crossed her face. Hildred, the war mother of my tribe, fixed me with a cold stare. It was then I noticed her followers, wrapped in furs and leathers and armor, pushing the great door shut. Warriors, one and all, with weapon drawn and bloodied, a war party. Around the hall, the envoys had gone silent, staring nervously at the new arrivals. Tryndamere watched them too, though if the presence of bearing weapons in his hall ached him, I could not tell. Hildred ignored me. Starting for Tryndamere, I stepped in front of him. Go no further, War Mother. Sigra, she said, her voice ice cold as winter. You do me honor to still call me by that title. I am glad you haven't forgotten your first oaths. Why are you here, Hildred? Step aside, child. If your new War Mother was within my grasp, I would wet my axe with her blood. But blood must be shed, so her second will have to do.
Hildred of the 3 Rivers.
A voice echoed in the darker corners of the hall. Tryndamere.
You have come a very long way. Why do you seek battle?
Hail, Bloodsworn, she said. I will tell you. 5 days passed. As the sun rose over our village, something else rose with it. Raiders, reavers, killers. The words sunk into me like knives. Winter's Claw, I whispered. Aye, she barked. Winter's Claw. They came, while the man you defended sat behind his stout walls, growing fat and slow, and did to us what the Winter's Claw always does. Now, there was a time where we might have driven them off, but that was before Ashe called for warriors, before she took 1 of every 3 hands strong enough to swing a blade. Her voice became a bitter hiss. We couldn't hold. Speech would not come to me. I should have been there, I thought. If I hadn't oathed myself to another, I could have fought. How many lost? Your elders hid in time, Sigra. For that I am grateful, but many did not. Too many. Slowly Tryndamere pushed himself to his feet.
I am sorry, War Mother, for your loss. I know what it's like to lead a desperate people. Bring your survivors here. They can share our food, our walls. You are welcome.
It was a noble offer. Hildred only spat on the floor. From her belt, the War Mother pulled her axe.
I do not want your walls or your food, Bloodsworn. I want blood for blood. The old ways say I'm due a challenge, and so a challenge I make.
This is foolish, I said. Think of our kin. Think of my elders, I did not say.
You forget your place, child. I will not say it again. Step aside.
Fury tightened my hand around the hilt of my sword. In one motion, I drew it. The steel glowing orange in the firelight. No, Hildred, I have forgotten nothing. I am a battle maiden, sworn to defend this hall. On my oath, I accept your challenge.
So be it. If you're in such a hurry to die, I'll make it quick.
Enough! Bellowed Tryndamere. I will have no Avarosas blood spilled around this hearth. We have enemies enough without killing each other. The echo of his word shook the very timber of the hall. Never had I heard him speak like this. I could not miss something dangerous just under the surface, but Hildred only sneered.
I do not fear you, Bloodsworn. Life behind these walls has dulled your edge. Mine is still killing sharp.
I caught the first blow on my sword. The shock nearly dislocated my shoulder. I had barely recovered by the time Hildred swung again. I was quick, but she had experience and strength on her side. Hildred's overhead chop missed my skull by inches and buried the axe head in the floor. I lunged forward, thrusting for her, but with a ferocious grunt, she wrenched her axe free, backhanding the flat end into my ribs. Pain shot through my chest, and I sagged to one side, unable to keep my footing. From the floor, I raised my sword, pointing feebly at the woman who had once been my war mother. She struck it out of my hand dismissively.
I will tell your kin you fought bravely, Sigra Battlemaiden.
Hildred raised her axe to deliver the killing stroke, and I squeezed my eyes shut. But it never fell. I looked up. Tryndamere had caught the axe, caught it in his open hand. Blood dripped from the blade down his arm onto the timbers below. This is not our way. Avarosas protect one another. From the floor, I watched as the open wound on his palm sealed itself shut. Impossible. He was speaking through gritted teeth, and the lurking danger I had sensed earlier now screamed in my head. Run, it said. Run now while you can. For a moment, I saw Hildred hurt it too, but then, with a snarl, she swung her axe again, a mighty two-handed blow meant to carve the man in half. Tryndamere roared. It was an inhuman sound, a fury deeper than the roots of mountains, as bottomless as the deepest lake. He roared, and then he lunged for her. That was 2 winters ago. 2 winters, and I have never forgotten what I saw. Probably I never will. Probably I shouldn't. I am Oathsworn, still bound to fight by his side. When I stand guard over my barbarian charge, motionless at his long table, I see Hildred's face twisted in agony. When the fires burn low in the long hall, I hear her screams. I have seen what lurks beneath those placid dull eyes. Every night I pray to my ancestors that I will not see it again. Some things are better left in stories. Some coals are better left smoldering. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes A Smoldering Coal by Roy Graham. By the way, I think you should subscribe to my channel if you like the lore of League of Legends, because I do full lore reading as soon as new lore is released. At least I try to. This story doesn't really add a whole lot to the plot in Runeterra as of right now. All that we really got from this story is that Ashe is not at the Avarosas capital out fighting the Winter's Claw, which means they are most likely in an open war. And the fact that Tryndamere is a badass berserker who just kills people if he gets mad, so, sticks to the game, I guess. Coming up next, hopefully sometime next week, will be The Sisterhood of War Part 1, Old Wounds. And then, we'll see what lore is out by then. But until next time, enjoy.